Cameron. I'm here with Catherine Wallace Hope, and we're talking about her new novel, her debut novel, Once Again, which I read, and I can tell you it's a real page turner. I'm excited to talk a little bit more about the inspiration behind it. So, Catherine, hi.
Hi there.
And where are you joining me from today?
I'm on Whidbey Island, which is a kind of a little dinosaur-shaped island in Puget Sound.
Awesome. And this book is fascinating. It's got a really interesting premise. Do you want to tell us a little about the book and where the inspiration came from?
Sure. The book is about a couple who are struggling with the loss of their daughter. The mother is Erin, who had ambitions to be a restaurateur, and the father is an astrophysicist. And he is tracking a phenomenon which he believes will create something that will change the way we understand time. But the two of them have separated because they're not able to manage their relationship in the context of grief. So Erin she's trying to get through her day. It's the 500th day since she lost her daughter. And then all of a sudden she gets a phone call from the school her daughter attended saying, you need to come and pick up your daughter because she has a fever. And then that starts the story.
And it's a real page turner, like I said. I think what's interesting is at the beginning, she's really struggling with grief. And then she gets this unique opportunity to basically go back and save her daughter from the kidnapper who took her daughter, except time isn't going sequentially. It's very interesting. It's not a Groundhog Day theory of time, right? It's not like she gets flung back 500 days and then time goes forwards. I thought what you did was very interesting and unique as a premise because time is going forwards and backwards, and she doesn't understand why or in what order. And it's a fascinating premise you created here.
Oh, thank you. It's one of those situations where she can't know what she has to do. She just has to keep trying everything until because she's obviously not going to give up. So she just has to keep fighting forward, even when she doesn't know, what the next step should be. And that's one of the great things about writing is that's what happens when you're writing it. You don't know what the next step is going to be. So
let's take a quick look at a review right now. I think that would be a great way to introduce folks to the book. And I thought this review from Booklist did a nice job of summarizing kind of the tone of the book, which is what I experienced, that it's suspenseful and action-packed. There is no doubt about that. It's a super action-packed book. But also you've got this whole grief and loss theme. And I just thought that was really interesting that she's simultaneously trying to save her daughter while dealing in this world of grief and depression and it's not easy, right? Even when you get given that chance again, it doesn't just become an action story. This isn't a Schwarzenegger novel. It's still women's fiction, and it's still got all of that emotion to it. And I thought you did it really well. I loved how they ended this one. Hope's debut is not to be missed. How on earth did you come up with such a unique premise that this novel has?
Well, the initial idea was I woke from a dream, and in the dream, my husband and I had a daughter, but she'd been kidnapped. And in the dream, I realized that the kidnapping was happening all over again, and I was running around trying to find a way to prevent it. And it was that, complete chaos in the dream. But then when I woke up and my heart was pounding and I was just absolutely, I had to drag myself back to reality because it felt so real. But then, once I calmed myself down, I thought it would be an interesting story. And then there was the fact that there's the myth of, Hades' abduction of Persephone, which was a Greek myth that I thought was always really amazing because, Persephone's mother refuses to give up. And then because I was living in Colorado at the time, the Center for Time in the United States is set by an atomic clock in Boulder, Colorado, at the National Institute of Standards and Technology. So that was great because I loved knowing that I could set it there. So
And for those who are a little into time travel and sci-fi, you actually go into quite a bit of detail on what's happening and why it's possible, in this fictional universe. And I think people who like sci-fi may actually find this book particularly interesting for that reason.
I hope so, because the stuff that the father is trying to deal with in his day, which parallels Aaron, the mother's day. That's all based on stuff that's actually happening. I mean, time crystals are a real thing. Gravitational waves are a real thing. The displacement of space-time by gravitational waves are a real thing. So all of these things are, there could be things close to this in life that, that we don't perceive.
So talk to me about how the book changed from the beginning. Is there anything readers might be surprised got cut or is very different compared to previous versions?
There's a big, huge thing that got cut that I'm holding on to it because I might be able to figure out some way to do something with it, because, in the very beginning, Erin refers kind of to herself as, if she were in a story, she would be a ghost, because she has lost so much of her life. And so in early drafts of the book, there was the kind of undercurrent story of the ghost that she saw herself as. And it's kind of like Game of Thrones in ghost world, because this ghost that is this woman has to make this journey across these very dangerous lands in this very precarious situation. So all of that got cut. And I would very much like to find some way to get that put back together and finish it.
Wow. Well, you could always do it as a reader extra, or it could be a different book. So we mentioned earlier this idea of pantsing or making it up as you go along. What's your approach?
I'm kind of a hybrid, because I really, on this book especially, I had to know where people were and what they knew and what was happening to them and what was happening in outer space. I had to know all of this stuff in order to be able to make sense of the story. But I think it's a really good idea for writers to, kind of have an idea of where you're going, so you don't just write, all down every avenue for years on end. But I think it's a really good idea to also be open to things that happen, because there were characters that were not in the early drafts that are now, crucial characters whose lives, came to light later. And there are characters that I thought were, central, who ended up, exiting the stage. So I think you have to be open to change and evolution, but I think you also have to have some idea where you're going.
Is there anything else you would say if you were talking to you from a few years back?
I would say two things. I would say, one, don't throw anything away. Do not, in a moment of despair, do not delete any of your drafts. I would say hold on to everything, because, you never know what stories are going to kind of solve themselves when you're not looking. I have drafts of other novels that now I realize, oh, it just needed this. And so those are things that I'll eventually find the time to work on. And the other thing I would say is to practice writing longhand, because it can help open up creativity to use that kind of skill of drawing while you're writing. So I would say that. I would say don't throw anything away, and work a little bit in longhand.
What about reading? Have you had any chance to read as you're in the middle of launching this book?
Well, it is a challenge to read. I think people are having challenges with reading just because our brains are so fried. But I'm also, in addition to doing everything that I can for this book, I'm also trying to get caught up on my schedule for the next book. So I'm reading right now. Come here, book. I'm reading The Overstory by Richard Powers, and I'm reading this book called The Holistic Orchard. And these are both kind of research for the next book. And then if I got to talk about things that I wish I had time to read, I would love to read Winter Counts by David Wyden. And I would love to read The Exit Strategy, which I actually have started. So I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that. The two main characters have confronted each other. It's very exciting. I can't wait to see where that goes.
So before I show folks how they can connect with you, anything I haven't asked you about?
I just want to say to everybody, you know, these are crazy times, and I think it's been really hard on everybody to try to navigate through the unknowns of this time, and it certainly has been an interesting time to try to launch a novel. So I would just say, just hang on tight to the people you love, and you know, try to calm your schedule down so you have a little bit of time to read, and try to write what if you can. But don't worry if it doesn't come out the way you hope it did at the when you first thought of the idea, and just just take a deep breath and see if we can't all get through this together.
It's great advice, not just for writing, but for life in general right now. It's a very weird moment for all of us.
It's true.
So if folks want to connect with you, let's look at how they can reach you. You're Cat Wallace Hope on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And I love seeing all the beautiful Bookstagram photos of your book recently on its book tour. And CatherineWallaceHope.com. And everybody can find all your other social medias there on your website.
Right. Yes.
Perfect. It has been so fun talking with you today. Thank you for making the time.
You too, Lainey. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Take care.
Take care. Thank you.